Hello, my name is Katerina Lover. I am talking with John Flansburgh from They Might Be Giants this morning. Hi, John.
Hey, it's great to be here.
It's so incredibly just amazing to have you. It's an honor. We here at WMNF have been fans of They Might Be Giants from the very get-go, from the 80s. I personally have been a fan of the band, from 1985 on, and you guys have just been a mainstay in our consciousness in a way. You've made us bob our heads and tap our feet to your amazing music, and you're coming to town here to St. Petersburg at Jannus Live on February 28th. And it's
Yeah, we're back at Jannus Live.
back at Jannus Live, and it's a big show tour 2025, right? That is the name of the show.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us all about it. How
Well,
many people?
it is a big show. Like we've actually um the last couple of years we've been doing flood shows where we've been playing our entire flood album and which is a format that people really like because you kind of get to focus up on on a specific thing and change up the repertoire. But what we're doing now, since all those shows all sold out, and it was like a really glorious thing. It's always, for a musician to sell out a show is always really fun, and so it afforded us we thought, well, we could actually make a profit, or we could make the show bigger. So let's figure out how to make the show bigger. And we took on a horn section. So we've got an 8-piece band now, which is like really like having a Saturn V rocket lashed to the back of our project. And so we're just kind of carrying on with the setup of what we did in the last couple of years, but we're changing the repertoire. Like we actually have, there's no opener. It's an evening whiz, so it starts really early, and we spotlight some album in our repertoire. So we've got 3 different albums that we can select from, and we do like a big part of the first set. It's kind of highlighting a record like that. And then in the second set, it's audience favorites. I mean, we play songs from Flood, and we play songs from across the years. So we've been doing this for way too long. So
We are so grateful that you've been doing it for so long, honestly. Like the energy, the sort of the wittiness, the fun of your music is just something that is truly incredible. So I did want to just ask you, are you going to have any interesting props at the show in St. Pete on the 28th? Uh,
oh, just hopefully something to keep us upright. Like we just jump around. We jump around. Um, uh, to be perfectly honest, like my mom is coming to the show in St. Pete. So I've got to
oh,
be on my best behavior. I've got to make sure I don't swear, you know, and do do stuff that's going to bring shame to the family name.
wow. So we're lucky to have
Um,
your
but
mom in our midst. That's amazing.
oh yeah, yeah. She's nearby, and yeah, no, she's very excited about it. But it is extra pressure. I have to say, like my mom has been to some pretty memorable shows over the years. I think my mom actually saw the Pixies open for us in
Wow.
Jamaica Plain that years back when the Pixies were an unsigned band. And yeah,
That's
but they were
incredible.
still they were just as loud as they are now, and I think my mom's hair got parted on the other side for that evening.
It's got to happen. So John, I understand it's like going to be an 8-piece band with horns, and I also wanted to ask you about this app that you guys have. You have been the first, well, you've been like the first in so many things. Okay, I think you guys like were the OG DIY artists from Brooklyn, right? I mean, you kind of invented that, doing everything on your own. Eventually self-published, and I just love that approach of doing it all yourself. And for a few decades, there was a phone number that fans of They Might Be Giants could call and get a song. Just hear a They Might Be Giants song. And I think you guys transitioned that recently into a phone app. Is that right?
Oh, well, we have a lot of different things happening online. We have to be perfectly honest, I think the luckiest thing we ever did is we collected um, people's email addresses at shows when people were very free with giving out their email addresses. So we have a huge mailing list, and so we're always giving free stuff away to people who are on our mailing lists. And I would definitely say, like, if you just want to connect with They Might Be Giants and find out what's going on with us, and also get, like, some free music that's not available anywhere else, that's at our website at tmbg.com. We have a dial song app. I'm not even sure if it's actually active at this
It is.
moment.
It
Oh,
is
it is.
active.
Okay.
It
Oh, okay.
is.
Cool. Um,
I wish you
yeah,
could. It's beautiful.
it's yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's really nicely designed. It was put together with a Japanese artist that we've worked with named Hine, who did all the felting of the
Yeah.
cassette. That is the
Yeah.
interface. But basically, it's echoing this thing that we started before we had any kind of record deal or anything else going on for us. When years ago in the '80s, there was this fad of getting phone machines in New York City. It was kind of a New York City specific thing. And I guess I had grown up, John and I grew up in Boston,
Mm.
where there was the Archdiocese of Boston had a dial a prayer service, and that was really the only other phone machine repurposing that we knew. I mean, like, I guess, I guess, movie people who ran movie theaters had phone machines. They would tell you the times on the phone, but that was really kind of the extent of it. It wasn't like today where everybody has a outgoing message on their phone.
Yeah.
Um, and so I just thought it would be an interesting way to have people hear our songs. It was like really an audience outreach thing. And of course, like in the 21st century, everybody's really thinking about branding and all this other stuff. That was not really our intent. I mean, it was much more one plus one equals two kind of thing, where it's just like, if people can hear our songs, maybe they'll be interested in our band. That was it. It wasn't like we were trying to profile ourselves as, some kind of, you know, bad boys short circuiting the record industry. It wasn't like a statement, I guess is what I'm saying. But it was a great way to establish ourselves as something else. It was not, we were not a regular band in a lot of ways, and the dial song service helped kind of clarify that we were a little bit um, beyond the ordinary.
You definitely have been beyond the ordinary. Your videos from the 80s were like some of my favorite memories, just watching
Oh, thank you.
MTV and, stumbling across the video for Istanbul, not Constantinople. And it was just, all of your videos were just so impactful. So do you and John have a background in visual arts at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you know, um, we both went to a lot of rock shows together. We both went to a lot of cultural things together. I think just fusing the energy of visual stuff and the music was important to us really from the jump. Um, I mean, I went to art school and I studied, like, fine arts and worked in commercial arts for years. So I got, I had an awareness. And John worked in an AV place, doing graphic stuff. So, like, we had a big background in that, just professionally. Um, and doing videos, we had the good luck of collaborating with this guy Adam Bernstein, who has become a really big deal in the world of television. He directed our first, like, Puppet, Don't Let's Start, Anna Ang, um, I don't know what else. She was a hotel detective. He did a ton of our early videos, and he brought a level of crazy creativity to it. And he could work with, like, virtually no budget. Like, he really intuitively knew everything about directing,
Mhm.
and he just had a million ideas. And it was just such an easy collaboration. We were so lucky. When I look back, that was the kind of thing that, like, it was not a given that we would find him. So I do feel really fortunate that we got to work with Adam, and he's gone on. He ended up putting together like the 30 Rock TV show, and
Wow,
he
that's
worked on
right.
a ton of like big deal TV. I think he worked in. He might have done stuff with Breaking Bad. I'm not. He's been involved in a million billion super successful TV things, and he's just a very talented guy.
Well, speaking of Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, who was in Malcolm in the Middle, that's kind of like what put him on the map, right? And you guys wrote the theme song, Boss of Me,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
for that show that was beloved in the 2000s. And I know you guys won a couple of Grammys.
yeah. We won a Grammy for that theme. I don't know what we're up against. It's like one of those. There were some other themes there, uh, but it was. Oh, you know what? We were up against a bunch of movie. What's weird about it is that it's a mixed. The Grammys are always trying to consolidate the number of awards that they give out because everyone's like, they give out too many awards. So they actually combine movie theme and TV theme into one award, which basically means that only movie themes will win. Because the movies have big PR companies kind of pushing in the awards ceremony stuff, whereas TV shows have no money behind them. But we were lucky that the song kind of caught fire and captured people's interest. And yeah, we got a Grammy for that. And then later on, we got a Grammy for a children's project that we did. So it's like, we've done the Grammys. It's fun to win. I mean, I've been a few times, and it's much more interesting when you win than when you lose. But uh,
So speaking of
yeah,
children's
it's a,
music,
it's a very star-studded night.
awesome. So speaking of children's music, um, we expect to see children at your show on February 28th at Jannus Live, right? I mean, do you guys see a lot of
Oh, I
kids?
hope I hope not. No, we never see kids. It's always like 16 plus. We play.
Okay.
We're like Janice Live is a bar. It's a
It
bunch of people
is
getting
a
drunk.
bar, yeah.
We want to encourage people. If you got kids, get a sitter, come on out, take the night off, and
Oh,
get yourself a
okay.
margarita and just enjoy the
Okay.
show. No, I mean, it is like one of the complicated things about having like a couple of different things going on at the same time. Like, we had a pretty active kids career where we did kids shows, but it was always sort of awkward because, um, we had a huge adult audience that was used to things being loud and rowdy and dancing and people. I mean, people were smoking and everything. Nothing about it was really for kids. And and some people are very disappointed and annoyed, and they're like, I take my kids to the porno for pyro shows and they don't mind. And it's like, I'm not trying to tell people how to raise their kids, but
Right.
your kids will be fine without seeing a rock show.
They can see it on their own time when they're old
Yes.
enough. So
Watch it on the screens.
that's right. So I have to ask you also about the your cats.
My
Are they
cats.
your cats? So
I'm looking around for my cats. Where are my cats? My cats are nowhere to be found.
I know, I'm surprised. I was expecting to see one behind you there.
Yeah.
I guess you're lucky that they're not like but you're a huge cat person and
I
right?
guess I am. It's like funny. I've I've had cats for a long time, but it seems like it's suddenly kind of come out of the woodwork. People send. We have. Believe it or not, we're still on Tumblr. We have a Tumblr page, and it's not just for foot fetishists. Um, uh, but on our Tumblr page, people are sending photographs of these kittens, saying, "Will you name my kitten?" And it's just like, oh wow, like I don't know. It's kind of a weird, it's flattering in a way, but it's a funny responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
you're just looking at a picture of this adorable little kitten, trying to think of an imaginative name to give a kitten. But it's sweet. It's a they're harder problems in the world.
That's right. Yeah, I've just always been impressed with like the energy the just work ethic, the just, keep going and do and be creative that you and John have been a part of for the past 43 years exactly. So
Yeah.
like it's incredible. I mean, as a listener, as a fan, we're so grateful that you keep coming back to, make music and make us so happy and engaged. And it's just so much fun. It's
Well,
incredible.
that's very flattering to say. I mean, we pour a lot of energy into it, and I think I feel like we get a lot back. Um, it's it's weird being, to be perfectly honest, like I feel like I blinked and my entire adult life just flew by. It's been a wild kind of manic ride, and you know, I am often reminded that I am not a young man anymore. But still, it's like this project, gives us a ton of energy. It gives us a ton of excitement, and just working in music, like pop music. I grew up with the Beatles, and I grew up with like a lot of like '60s music that was, in retrospect, seems like a much more magical time than now. I mean, I'm sure people, the Grammys just happened, and I know there's a generation of people like growing up with Chapel Roan or growing up with Taylor Swift who probably feel the same, thrill invested in that music. Um, and that's totally natural. But I guess like one thing I feel like I really took away from growing up with like the radio in my childhood and in my teen years is that like the pop song is like an incredibly rewarding, um, uh, flexible kind of plastic trampoline that you can jump on, and it just gives and gives. It's such a great, songs are so great. And it's so funny because they're so short and they're so simple and they can be so tiny, but it's an exciting world to be in, to be able to like sort of live in the world the popular song is
Yeah,
just
it
it's a
really
fascinating
is.
thing.
And I just don't know how you guys do it. How do you come up with such clever lyrics, such strange yet endearing like premises, and you put it to music and like what was the inspiration for Dr. Worm? How did that happen?
Oh, oh well, I mean, John Linnell would be a much better person to talk to really delve into the lyrics of Dr. Worm. But I do know, having had many conversations with him, there's actually um, there's a song by Kiss called Dr. Love
Yes.
that is, at the height of Kiss's career when they were really in their imperial era and were actually had lots of songs on the radio that are no longer played on the radio. I mean,
Yeah.
even classic
Other
rock is
than
not played. They
WMNF,
might.
I have to say,
Oh,
we played those songs that were beloved, not necessarily even like big hits, but like maybe deep cuts, whatever that means from albums of like 70s, 80s, even 60s, and we do play that on our airwaves. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
well, if this is the request line, I would feel
Okay.
free to segue out of this interview into Dr. Love by Kiss.
Okay.
It's a really audacious song, and it's kind of Gene Simmons at his most, Gene
Yeah,
Simmons-esque. Um,
we know it.
and yeah, everyone knows it. It's hard to get away from it. But I think that song, it made a very strong impression, and uh, I think you know I think John was really riffing on that.
Understood. So, okay, so I do have to say that I know that Charlie XCX performed at the Grammys and she performed my favorite song, Von Dutch, and she was amazing. But what was some of your other performances or events that happened at the Grammys this year?
Oh gosh, I mean, I think the Chapel Roan thing was kind of the showstopper.
Yeah.
Um, it was like the most sort of, uh, I don't know. It reminded me. It really reminded me of the MTV Music Awards more than the Grammys, because like that. What they actually let her do her thing. Like for a long time, having gone to a couple of Grammys, they did this thing where they would have like there was this notion of Grammy moments where they would shoehorn an older performer in with a younger performer and make them
Hmm.
like do a duet
Hmm.
or somehow like share the stage. And I always felt like it was kind of like it actually was a way to rob both performers of the essential thing that they had going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like the new Grammy setup is actually better, and this year was interesting because it was entirely it was entirely younger acts. Like there were no venerable rock dinosaurs,
Right.
still roaming the earth. And it's funny because I mean, I'm old, and even when I go to the Grammys, I'm like, man, oh man, this is like for the elders. And they have
Grannies,
managed,
right?
yeah, so they've managed to change it up, and I think that all for the better. Uh, I think Will Smith should not be allowed to be on award shows anymore.
Yeah.
He manages to bring bring things down,
Yeah.
and he was on the Grammys the other night, and it was just like, what? Why is he?
Yeah.
He's why do we need old Will back? I think he's kind
Oh,
of overstayed his
John, things are kind of falling apart a little bit.
things are complicated in the real
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
Um,
But
yeah, so but anyway,
I,
back to the
I,
music.
I did exactly. I did want to just mention that, the tour starts in Orlando on the 27th, which is a Thursday. You guys
Yeah,
coming
we've got a
back.
big sold out show in Orlando.
Yeah, going to shows in Orlando is very interesting because the musicians never know if are these the people who actually live here or are these like tourists that just happen to be in Orlando? But Orlando is a super creative
Oh, right.
place. So I think you guys are going to have a lot of very creative musicians and artists there in attendance, and not just tourists.
Well, I don't know if the tourists would like catch up with a music show like ours. They might have already gotten their tickets like months in advance or something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I know.
Um, you sometimes that I feel that where that phenomenon that you're talking about really catches up with us is when we play in New Orleans,
Wow.
because when we play in New Orleans, we are playing for people who do not live in New Orleans, and
Mhm.
that is always feels kind of sad because the music culture of New Orleans is so awesome. And also just like the arts community in New Orleans is really intense. And it's like it's a cool town. I mean, I have friends who live in New Orleans, and you don't have to go very deep to find a lot of really interesting, crazy corners of that town. And but what's funny is that they are quite discreet from when you're playing at the Hard Rock Cafe, which is like where we'll be, we'll be at like the 1,500 capacity kind of corporate bar, and it's a little bit sad. It makes me feel, we have played at Tipitina's, which is definitely has a little bit more realness going on. Sometimes too much realness. I mean, we have played at Tipsy, if memory serves, on more than one occasion where the toilet from the dressing room was just overflowing for the entire show. Like it's just like, hey, can somebody help us out here? But that's what you signed up for when you play there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I just know I was at a Death Cab concert, and
Oh, how are they? What was that
they're
show like?
great. And they just went, "So who are you?" at the
Oh,
audience.
oh, really?
Yeah, they
Oh, they
kind of
were.
called us freaks, and we were like, "No, we live here. We're not.
Ah,
We live here. We love you guys." But yeah, that was interesting. So you actually, so then, you're going, out west where some of the shows are already sold out. You have multiple nights, like you just added a night in Salt Lake City. I think.
yeah, I know, I know. Well, been perfectly honest, we've been playing in Salt Lake City forever. I feel like we were one of the first rock bands to ever play, like really get like alternative rock back the circuit to expand to Salt Lake City. And Salt Lake City always kind of responded in a positive way to us. I'm not sure what that was about, but like yeah, most of the shows on the tour have sold out, which is very exciting. I mean, just in advance, and pretty much, I think every show by the time it's the night of the show, every show will sell out. So it's going to be
Absolutely.
a very successful tour, and we're happy about that.
One last thing. What are you guys bringing merch-wise to the
Oh,
show? Are you like, tell us, will there be
let's see.
vinyl?
You know what? I'm just actually you're reminding me. We should bring night light. We have night lights, Blue Canary night lights available on our website, and it's like far and away the most popular item that we have, but we never bring it to shows. And but I think we could do that. We
Yay.
should do that.
Good. Okay, good. And there will be like vinyl, like reissues of your older stuff as well, right?
Yep, we got a pretty good selection of stuff. I just did a previous interview where the fellow asked me a question. He said, "Are you ever going to get?" He was very much into our deep catalog, and he was like, when are you going to do a vinyl release of Long Tall Weekend? And I was like, I don't know. It's hard to do everything on vinyl. It's hard to get the artwork. And then I realized, oh wait, we actually put that out on vinyl a year and a half ago. It's out. It's in the world. Yeah, we have lots of new titles. All sorts of things. We've got Mint Car on vinyl, which is amazing. Amazing package design. It sounds great. We got it, remastered. It's very, very sweet. And all sorts of stuff. And we have a new horn focused live album called Beast of Horns. It's on vinyl and download. And that's it's not on streaming sites. I don't know why. But
I heard like 4 cuts off that album.
oh, there's a sampler. There's a
Yeah,
sampler on
sampler. Yeah,
Spotify
right.
to remind people that it exists in the world. But no, there is a full length album, and it spotlights the horns, which is and it's a really nice package. It's a really nice song selection.
Wow. And the best part about all of this is that you guys are so thoughtful that $1 from every ticket sold to come and see you in St. Pete, Orlando, and Asheville is going to various, well, not various, just two. For Asheville, it's Mana, which helps with hurricane relief. And here in the Tampa Bay, it's Feeding Tampa Bay. So there will
Yeah.
be proceeds going to help Tampa Bay recover from these two horrible hurricanes that we just had kind of back to back recently. So thank you for that. We
Yeah.
appreciate
Well,
it.
as I said, like, my mom lives in the area, so I'm like, if it was, I was there very soon after the first storm. No, wait, I'm trying to think. Was it the first? It was Helen and
Helene and
Helene.
Milton.
What were,
Helene, I think,
right.
Milton came first and then
That
Helene.
was worse in Asheville.
Yeah, Helene
Yeah.
destroyed
Yeah.
Asheville.
I mean,
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
it was crazy just to see how much you know devastation it generated. Really hard to not notice.
Yeah, we're used to it, I think we'll bounce back. I haven't been to the beaches since, but like there are parts in Western North Carolina, like Avery County, where I went to school, that is just still devastated, and they're still trying to clean up. So we appreciate all your help there. Well, and we're running out of time.
Oh, no problem.
So it was just incredibly amazing to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I've
the pleasure was entirely mine. Thank you so much for
been a
putting us
fan.
on the air. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I've been a fan for decades, and this is like a dream come true. So thank you so much
All
for
right,
that.
come
All
on
right,
out and,
John.
and see us.
Oh yeah, I will.
You're
I
on the
will.
list.
Oh, goody. Okay, so February 28th. What time does the show start? You said
We
early.
start we start at 8 o'clock every night. We start at
8
8 o'clock.
o'clock on February 28th in Jannus Live in St. Pete. We'll see you there. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you so
John.
much.
Have a
All right.
great one. Okay, bye-bye.
Adios. Bye
Bye.
bye.